Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. Alright, so today we are here finally with a look at Skull Tales Full Sail. This Kickstarter finally arrived at my door this week. I'm pretty excited for it. As you might recall, this game was on my top 10 most anticipated games list that I made at the beginning of the year. So I'm pretty excited for it. Now this is going to be just kind of an unboxing, taking a look at, and it's also going to kind of be a somewhat of a review of the rule book, I guess you could say, because unfortunately it is kind of a disaster. This is going to be a weird thing. So I haven't played the game yet. I'm playing it tonight with a buddy, or maybe I should say I am going to attempt to play it tonight, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it's going to go, and we will talk a little bit about that when we get to the rule book. That might be one of the first things we look at. But so this was the base pledge. Can't remember if there was an all-in pledge, if there's a whole lot more you can get, or if there was just this kind of like one pledge. I think the game comes with a lot of neat stuff. It looks interesting. I think there are a lot of neat ideas and concepts in this game. It is far more robust and complex than I was expecting, so that could be good or bad. Like I said, I haven't played it, and so I can't really tell you exactly what I think about it, but I can tell you that I am excited to get it to the table, to see how it plays, and really nervous because I have a feeling that there's going to be an entire phase of this game that might actually be unplayable. I know some people on Kickstarter and Board Game Geek were talking about how bad things were when I started reading the rulebook. I wasn't getting that impression, but then I hit a massive giant brick wall in the guise of the voyage phase of the game. So anyways, let's start taking a look. So this is the expansion box that came with the Kickstarter. We'll look at that last. This is the main box here, Skull Tales Full Sail from Eclipse Editorial, developed by David Alescas. This is the English edition. I have a feeling that some of the problems with the rulebook probably come from the fact that I believe it was translated from Spanish, but I've also read that even native Spanish speakers are having a lot of trouble with the game in its native language form. All right, so here we have the back of the box here. Skull Tales Full Sail. The southern lady cuts through the waves. The waters spraying your face as you stare out at the Caribbean Sea. Lost in thought, you remember the first time you came across a Spanish galleon. Few of you managed to escape that mess with your lives, but that marked the moment when you began forging your destiny as a pirate. Now your reputation precedes you wherever you go, instilling fear among your enemies. Nothing will get in your way of becoming the most infamous pirate to ever sail the high seas. Make your destiny and become the terror of the seas in Skull Tales Full Sail. So this is a kind of a second edition, or I don't know if I would say a second edition, maybe kind of a sequel slash second edition. Think of this maybe as the Evil Dead 2 to Evil Dead 1, kind of a remake slash sequel of the original Skull Tales. Now, I have never played that game. I've never even seen it. Until this was on Kickstarter, I had never even heard of the original Skull Tales. So I am entering this game as a complete neophyte. So let's start taking a look at some things, and let's go ahead and start with the rule book. I was really shocked at first to find out just how robust the rulebook is. I mean, it's over 50 pages, and we're talking pretty small text, double column. There is a lot to this game. And one of the reasons why there is so much to this game is because it really is 3 games in one. You have 3 distinct phases in this game as you're playing through the chapters of the campaign, and each phase is a different kind of game. So the main phase is the adventure phase. And that's when you're moving around in a dungeon crawl fashion. Adventure game, you're exploring, you're finding loot, you're killing enemies, and you're trying to accomplish goals. Then the second phase would be the voyage phase, and that's when you're taking your ship and you're sailing around the open seas of sailing around the Caribbean Sea, fighting other pirate ships, fighting sea monsters, exploring islands to find loot and to bury your booty. And then you're trying to find a certain island that you're going to. And then you have the port phase. And that is when you go into town, you can upgrade your character, you can buy more gear, and you can hire crew to help man your ship. So at the beginning of the rulebook, I thought things were going pretty well. I think it's pretty well laid out. There is some pretty good information. It has a nice little beginning few pages that just kind of tells you how the different dice rolls work. For like, there's difficulty tests, there are confronted rolls, so sometimes you might have a battle of wits to determine like who's going to be the captain, or you might have a battle of strength when you're trying to grapple a character. There's a lot going on with the different mechanisms of the game. And then you kind of get into the adventure phase. So this is the first part of the rulebook, the first real part of the game. And it does a pretty nice job of showing you the different components that you're going to use for each part of the game. There are some errors. There's quite a few in the listing of the components and how many you get and how some of them are called. And already there is an almost 10-page document of errata compiled by the fans on Board Game Geek. So that is kind of gives you a clue of how bad things are already. Yeah, and I've already found stuff that is wrong that's not listed in the errata and the FAQ. But while reading through the adventure phase, I was not having any trouble. I could totally conceptualize how the game was going to be played. I didn't really have very many questions. There was something that came up on this page here, page 11, where it's showing you the detail of the item cards. And it goes through these various numbers, but then you get down here and the numbers are wrong. So I just had to write in there how to properly label the different portions of the item card. But overall, I felt that the adventure phase segment of the rulebook was well written, and I think it is going to be pretty cool. There are a lot of different things that you can do on your turn during the adventure phase. I think more things than in a lot of games of this kind. So here's like the kind of the cheat sheet for the adventure phase, and it lists all the different actions you can take. So you can open doors, you can attack, you can search, you can switch equipment, you can pick up, use, and drop. You can run, push people into pits, you can explore, you can insult, you can cast magic, you can move, revive, reload your firearm, you can loot, you can jump and climb, break away, and take a breath. So there are a lot of different choices, a lot of different actions to use. And I like that. It's not just, sometimes these games are really basic where all you can really do is, move and attack, move and attack. So it's nice to see that there are some options. I'm not sure how viable each one of those options is. We'll have to see when we play the game tonight. But the enemy section is the enemies operate a little on a more simple side than the heroes. So that's nice. You don't have to worry too much about them, how they move. And how they attack. Then there's different conditions such as stunned and poisoned, knocked out, restrained, wounded, cursed, hidden. You can hide. You can get permanent wounds. So if you get knocked out, you can get permanent wounds such as you can lose your left eye or right eye, your left hand or right hand, left leg or right leg. Anytime you lose two, what they would call complementary wounds. So if you lose both eyes, both hands, or both legs, that character has to retire, and all the other crew members have to pay him a certain amount of money so he can live comfortably for the rest of his life on some island. I like that. I think that's a really neat idea. There are also allies that you can hire that are going to help you on your adventure. And then we come to the voyage phase. And I was really excited for this phase because I like games that have distinct phases, you know, a dungeon phase and a town phase, like Warhammer Quest or Darklight Memento Mori or Shadows of Brimstone. But I don't know what happened here. I don't know if the developer, the designer, the rules writer I don't know if he had a stroke while he was writing this section. I don't know what, but this entire section, it just reads, once you get past the components, it just reads like a listing of things you can do without ever really telling you why or how you would do those things, without ever really giving you a sense of the flow of the game. It's just kind of like a list of bullet points. So like it's a very complex part of the game, because you have this ship here, and your ship is going to be manned by your characters, your pirates, and the crew that you hire, and your allies. And there are all of these different stations. So you have the hold, you have the rigging where you can operate the sails, the forecastle for cartography, the gunwale, the crew quarters, the crow's nest, the gun deck, the main deck, which as you can see here, they put the wrong title there, so you have to like cross it out and write it. You have the quarter deck, the helm, the sick bay, and it's almost in this section of the game, it's almost like a worker placement game where you're placing your crew and your pirates on those different spots of the ship, and each one gives your ship a different kind of a different ability or a different way to use, like its speed or its cannons or moving around cargo in the hold. So it's quite robust, and it would have been so nice if they would have just given you more information and better written information about using the different parts of the ship. And where it really starts to fall apart is just when it starts explaining the different rounds. Like you have a travel round, a crew round, an enemy round, and an event round, I believe. You're reading it, and it doesn't create a flow in my brain about how the game actually is played at this point. And then to make matters even worse, when you get to the combat section, everything breaks down. I mean, you have to read like 3 or 4 different sections and combine them. Nothing is presented in one logical location or order. And then you get to the enemy, the detail of the enemy cards. And look at all this stuff I had to write because it does not explain any of that. So like this section here is all numbered, but when you go over to look at the description, there are no numbers and nothing really adds up. It doesn't tell you what these dice down here are for. It barely tells you what any of these are for. You have to look at your player board description and then at this description to understand things. You have to make a lot of assumptions. There are a ton of threads on BGG about all of this, about how where the game is going, and it just completely falls apart at the voyage phase. And I have to wonder, this game was not delayed very much. It was a very well run Kickstarter. It seemed well planned. It was pretty much on time, maybe like a month or two late, but nothing crazy. A month or two late, that's practically early for a Kickstarter. So they could have taken like an extra month to actually make this a good rule book. And I know I've said this many, many times, but game developers, you have to give your rule book and your game to people you do not know without you there, and ask them to set up and play an entire game to see if it is possible using only what's in the box. Because I can't imagine anybody sitting down without any outside help with this box and this rule book and able to play the game without any problems. I can't imagine anybody getting through this voyage section in that way. So I don't know if it was lost in translation, but look, if you're having your rule books translated into other languages, you have to pay for quality translation. You have to pay good technical writers to write your rule books. This has to be, I mean, I don't know why this is such a problem with Kickstarter games, but guys, developers, designers, publishers, put the most amount of money into your rule book, into your technical writing staff. You know, stop spending money on plastic and start focusing on the paper, because that's what makes and breaks a game. You know, a miniature of lesser quality will never ruin a game. A rule book with problems will destroy a game. But then after the voyage phase, you get to the port phase, and that seems pretty cool. I love town phases in games, so I'm hoping this is fun. And in this phase, like I said, you can do all kinds of shopping, and you can have different events at different locations. You can upgrade your ship, you can buy new ships, you can buy parts for your ship, and then you can go and you can get all of these different skills, and you can go to each of the location has a merchant that will, or a trainer that will train you in like rogue traits or duelist traits. And there are, I mean, I had no idea that there's this many skills in the game, and each one has a different thing that will can kind of change the way your character plays during the adventure phase. So that is super cool. I'm really excited for the adventure phase and the port phase, and I'm very, very hesitant about the voyage phase, but we'll see how it goes. So let's take a look at some of the other stuff here. We also have here, we have the character cards. There are quite a few characters, and then each of these characters, these are known as the pirates, so these are going to be your main characters, and each of the pirates can also double as an ally that you can hire. So a crew of main characters, which consists of your pirates and your allies, can have up to 5. So that means that if you're playing 5 players, you can't hire any allies. If you're playing 2 players, then each player can hire 1 ally. You have up to 4. And you have different stats. You have health and your actions. I forget what this is called, but it's kind of like grit in Shadows of Brimstone. Then you have your attack power, your range power, your strength. I think that's like agility, your mental capacity, and your perception. I can't remember what exactly that's called, but these are the different tests. You're going to roll, you know, a certain amount of dice. And tests in this game, they have to be, they're going to give you a target number of say like 4, and you have to roll over the target number. Equaling the target number does not count as a success in this game. This is going to tell you, I think, when you reach your port, how much money you get for a salary. And then if you're using them as an ally, that's how much it costs to hire them each time. And you also have your charisma. So this is when you're fighting over who's going to be the captain. You have a challenge test based on charisma. But each character has a number of different special abilities that they can use. And it really does look like there are some cool characters in here. There's magic that they can cast. And then we have some of the enemies here. And the enemies have different AI abilities, different stats, and special abilities. There's a good number. There's not a ton. But I have a feeling that there is going to be enough to make things interesting, which is good. A good mix of humans and monsters. And then on the backs of these will be your, during the voyage phase, the voyage encounters. Ghost ships and the cutter, the sea monster, the whale, the galleon, the merchant ship. When you are exploring different islands, you can roll to try to get different cargo to put in your ship's hold. A whirlpool can appear. And then you also get these adventure phase sheets, which those are cheat sheets to help you on the adventure phase and on the voyage phase. So that's nice. You get 5 of those. And then you also get this cheat sheet to help you in the port phase, the different things you can do at the tavern, the chapel, the market square, the mansion, and the docks. So that's pretty nice. See, overall, the things that this game comes with are really good. So that's why the disaster of the rulebook is such, it's even a bigger disappointment, because this game seems to have so much potential. You get to the campaign book, which is quite robust. I think there's 6 or so different chapters. Tells you how to set up. You have different tiles that you're going to be laying out, different environments like a town and jungle and beaches, caverns, temples. Some of them, it looks like it gets quite large. Different enemy tables to roll on, different kinds of goals. And then each one will tell you, like, so in this chapter, you're going to start with a voyage phase. You're going to have, and then you're going to have your adventure phase. And then in the back of the book, you get to these, it's kind of like side missions where if you are held captive or if your boat sinks, then you have to have a little adventure to get back on your feet or to escape from jail. So that's cool. And then you get to the choose your own adventure narrative part of the campaign, which are quite a few entries there. And yeah, I like that. All right, so then you have a tablet of character cards or character sheets and ship sheets to keep track of everything. And then you get to the minis. Now, I think the minis are pretty nice, and this box that it comes with, amazing. Thank you so much. Like, this is such a nice little addition. It's not expensive, it's just cardboard, but it does come with a nice little piece of foam that you can put on top, and everything is all lined up. Everything is in its own little spot. The minis are nice. I've seen better and I've seen worse. They have that feel too that I like. They're kind of just, they kind of feel chalky, like the minis from Hand of Fate did. So, and the heroes are in a lighter color, so that's nice. You can tell them apart without painting them. But yeah, overall, I am very happy with these. And just the fact that it comes with this really well organized and put together box for them is very cool. So then we come to, let's see, the first, so I haven't opened up any of the cards yet. If I can get this knife under there. There we go. All right, so these are, looks like, let's see here. We have some magic cards. So there's voodoo, there's 2 different kinds of magic. Pretty well laid out, looks like. Good art. Different picture on each one, and then the backs for the different characters. So there's like a voodoo magic and some kind of looks like shamanistic magic or something. Good number of those. And then these are some incident cards. So these are like random events, random encounters that can happen during the adventure phase. Would have been nice to see some additional art on those, but they are small, so that's okay. These, I believe, are the search cards. So when you're searching on the adventure phase, you can find different things. You can get ambushed, or you can find treasure and relics and stuff to use on your adventure. Let's open up this deck here. All right, so it looks like some more search cards. So lots of different items and relics and cool things to find while you're adventuring. And then we have our item cards. So, oh yeah, lots of cool loot to find and buy and equip. Different kinds of weapons, a hand cannon, a staff, a blow dart gun, a cobra a pet cobra, a knife, daggers, swords, grappling hooks, bomb, little grenades, axes, a retractable blade, Assassin's Creed style, a parrot, that's awesome, brew, a monkey. So, okay, lots of cool items there. Very excited about that. And then these are the large cards that you use. Let's see here. So these are going to be the event cards for when you are at sea. Good number of those. I like that. Again, maybe a lack of art a little bit, but it looks like the text is laid out well, and hopefully there aren't a ton of rules or a ton of rule errors on these cards that you'll have to write on to correct. And then you have these cards here. I'm not sure what those are yet. Let me see if I can find those really quickly in the rule book. Let's see. Those are captain assignments. Oh, I think these are like little, I think like side quests or missions that you can pick up in town that you can do when you're out voyaging. And then these are rumors. Same thing. I think these are like side quests that you can get. Good number of those. So this game does not seem to be lacking in variety, which makes me excited. You guys know how much I truly believe that adventure games live or die by the variety, by their ability to make it seem like anything can happen. And then the last deck of cards here are the different events that happen to you in the port phase at the different locations. And it looks like there's quite a few for each location. So you've got the tavern here, different things that can happen to you, different kinds of encounters and tests that you have to take. I believe that's like a merchant. The mansion, which is kind of like, looks like it's kind of like a brothel with the lips there. One-eyed jacks or something like that. Was that the docks? This is where you can like upgrade your ship, all kinds of different things. And then what is that, like the church or something? Different place, they're kind of a mystical encounter. So lots of encounters to have when you're at the port. I like that. That is very cool. You get some dice, some plastic coins, pretty well made plastic coins. I like the feel of those. And as a Kickstarter bonus, you also get this like treasure chest here, and I think you can keep your coins in there. Although I'm not quite sure how these deck boxes and treasure box fit back in the box. We'll have to figure that out. Get some gems. Those are worth even more than coins. Some things to assemble your dials. A few extra bags. And then you come to your tiles. So you have these big tiles here. I think there are 4 of them. Those are going to be combined for when you are making your voyage phase. And then you have different environments here for your different adventure phases. You've got your kind of like a city or a village. And then you've got, this is a tracker you use on your voyage phase for keeping track of your morale and for the time of day. This is how you keep track of your spells, of how different your spells. So when you cast a spell, you put it on this card. Like say it costs 2. And then at the beginning of each subsequent round, you're going to put it down, and when it gets to 0, you can use it again, or something like that. So it keeps the kind of keeps the balance in using magic. You have different character bonuses here, gold, and then all of your different counters for the different things you're going to encounter on your voyage. Again, different dials you're going to be using, more tiles. So yeah, there's quite a bit of cardboard, and man, there's a lot of tiles, and I really like the art on them. It's very well done. The colors are nice and bright. More. Oh, this is for when you're at port. So this is your board that you use when you're at port to go to different locations and to keep track of your time. These are the tile markers, so you're going to be randomly drawing these little markers when you explore, and you're going to correspond them with the different tiles to set up on the board. And whoa, sorry about that. I didn't realize that was a trifold. And then you have here, this is like your tracker that you're going to be when you're on an adventure, in an adventure mode. You have a time tracker, and each time as it goes up, things are going to get more dangerous. So wow, there's a lot of stuff in this game. I really hope, oh God, I really hope it plays. I really hope we can figure out how to play the voyage phase, because just looking through all of this stuff is making me even more excited. I'm going to go set everything up and probably have a couple, take a couple rounds of the game as a tester, kind of figure some things out before my buddy comes over. All right, so then let's take a look at the expansion box real quick. So we have the expansion box here, the mega expansion. The cool thing about this is it comes with a big book full of, I think it's 4 complete campaigns, plus skirmish rules where you can play these little scenarios where you're playing pirate versus pirate, which might be fun, I'm not sure. Different kinds of rules for the different tiles, because the art actually matters on some of them, which is nice. You have all of your story elements here. And then, yeah, 4 complete campaigns. Pretty cool. Got even more tiles here from the expansion. It looks like a Swamps of Death type area. That's neat. Whoa. Those are not as secured as the the main box tiles. Oh, this is cool. Like a temple here. It looks like you have to like either jump or do a strength test to swing across these vines, these pits. Very Indiana Jones looking. I like that. Very cool. Lots of neat things there. More cards. So you have Megalodon, a pirate ship, a sea serpent, and then a bounty hunter, a drowned one, a strangler. Looks like the enemies are a little more like supernatural based in the expansion. Gross spider, some kind of naga lizard or snake person. The Echo, La Lorana. It's kind of like an Aztec themed. Then we have some more characters. This guy who doesn't look like anybody famous at all. I'm probably going to be playing this Far Eastern spy lady. It seems up my alley. All right, we're almost done here. We have a few cards so a few more missions, some more voyage cards. These are the character cards that are used in the skirmish mode when you're playing pirate versus pirate. And then finally, we have the minis for the expansion. And again, just a really well-organized box. I cannot stress enough how cool this is to have. The spider guy looks pretty cool. Here's the Far Eastern spy. So yeah, she looks pretty cool. A little bit of flashing on there. Looks like I'll have to clean it up a little bit. I'm not sure what this material is. It's really light. I don't know if that's resin or what, but they feel much lighter than other minis. This must be like one of the stranglers or something, some kind of Lovecraftian fish monster. But all right, well, as you can see, there is a lot of stuff for for this game, but it doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels like a good amount of things that are going to be manageable. The game feels manageable in terms of components. And sometimes Kickstarter games, you can feel just overwhelmed by just the sheer number of things you have to organize. But anyhow, all right, guys. Well, I hope you liked taking a look at Skull Tales Full Sail. I will come back hopefully tomorrow or the next day with a little review of the game. Let you guys know if we were able to figure it out or not. So, all right, we'll talk to you guys later and take it easy. Bye-bye.